Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, y'all. Come on in and grab a seat. I couldn't wait to get in front of this camera and start talking to you all because we got our first episode. It really is our first episode of Married at First Sight, season 16. I believe it's considered episode 1. This is really when they started getting into it. Last week, the matchmaking special. Okay, that's fine. I liked it. But now we are getting to see more of these couples. And like I told you last week, I reserve the right to change my opinion on some of these couples. And hey, guess what, y'all? I got a change of opinion today. So you're going to have to stick with me to hear this whole video today because it's going to be long. And hear where I changed my mind. But what I will do, maybe, I don't know, I might take this long video and chop it up for those of you who don't want to listen to me for a long period of time. But those of you got some time, who's got a lunch break, a long drive in the car, sitting at home, relaxing, whatever you're doing, pull up a chair, honey, because we need to talk. We need to talk. So we're going to get right into it. Also, wait a minute before I finish. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. I got to say that every single video to remind everybody because that is the most important thing. And one of my favorite things is to listen to you all's comments and ideas, suggestions, and opinions. But hey, let's get it going. And we're going to start off with the first couple that I'm having a change of heart over, and that's going to be Kirsten and Shaq. First of all, y'all, I got a theory about Kirsten. She really is too much. Kirsten is really too much. And one of the things when I was watching her, and I was saying to myself, a person who is this picky, who picks out everything, the way she's describing herself and all this, we already know at the end of this episode, she don't like Shaq. We kind of got a little hint of it beforehand. We was all really scared. And she had told her girlfriend, if she gives the man her cheek, when she goes in for the kiss and she does this, that's a sign that she doesn't like him or she's not attracted to him. And we saw at the end of this episode that when they finally got to the altar, that's how she greeted him, or that's how she ended it with this. And this is what I want to say about Miss Picky Kirsten. I think Kirsten is hiding some things, y'all, because there's a lot of things that went on in this episode that for me didn't add up. And when I say hiding something, I'm saying things where you want to lead us to believe one thing about you, but it's really a whole other thing about you. This is what I'm starting to see about Kirsten. Because, you know, I've run into a lot of picky people in the world, people who nitpick on everything. This not perfect, this not perfect. And a lot of times those real nitpicky people, they have a need to be perfect and they think they're perfect. And so then they nitpick on you so that you can have the pressure of being perfect. And you then are so busy trying to fix all the things about yourself because they're picking on you that they don't have to do anything about themselves. And let me tell you, this is what I said about a lot of people who come on this show, is that people have told them things about themselves and those things don't work in relationships. But instead of them correcting those things about themselves, what they decide they want to do is come on Married at First Sight and say, I'm not going to work on none of the stuff about me, Kirsten. I'm not going to work on none of my pickiness, none of those negative traits about me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come on Married at First Sight and I'm going to pray to the Lord, and then I'm going to pray to God, the Lord, and I'm going to pray to the Married at First Sight of producers and tell them, oh no, just give me exactly what I want. I don't want to do no changing. I don't want to be less picky. I don't want to be less superficial. I don't want to be having to stop worrying about things that really don't mean anything in marriage, for a long-lasting marriage. I want to keep doing what I've been doing for 32 years or however long old she is or how long she's been dating. And I want you to accommodate who I am, all my bad traits. That's Kirsten. And I'm going to say this about her. Some of her stuff ain't adding up. Okay, one thing that really was starting to bother me about Kirsten is when she says, I have a master's degree and I have a bachelor's degree. Well, first of all, Kirsten, we already know that once you say you have a master's, you have a bachelor's. Who says it in that order? Don't most people say I have a bachelor's and a master's? But no, Kirsten says, I have a master's and I have a bachelor. And to me, that feels like, it feels showy. Then I remember when we were first watching the Married at First Sight matchmaking special, and Pastor Cal came in to tell Kirsten she was going to get married, and Kirsten was in the kitchen baking cookies at her open house. I said, is this what they do in Tennessee? Put cookies in the oven so that the house can smell like chocolate chip cookies, so when you walk in the house, you want to buy the house because the house feels like home. Maybe this is a Southern thing. But then I started saying, well, no, that's also sort of fakish to me. That's sort of phony to me. It's sort of like an outside presentation. And then I started thinking, well, once she told us she had a bachelor's and a master's, I started thinking, well, why is she a real estate agent? This is no shade to real estate agents, okay? But you don't need a bachelor's and a master's degree to be a real estate agent. And especially not if you selling single family homes just down the street in the neighborhood. Now, maybe if you selling commercial real estate and you selling, multi-million dollar commercial buildings, they do like people who have degrees and master's degrees in business. But Kirsten's degree is in some other type of category that don't have nothing to do with real estate. This really, I'm telling you, there's so many things. I'm going to get into it, y'all, but I got so many red flags with Kirsten that makes me realize that her pickiness is also to cover up some things I think are about going on with her. And I think they're going to get exposed. But let's go ahead on. I'm not going to stay on it too long. I'm going to get into it later on a little bit more as we go by. But there's some things about her, y'all, that really are some really, really red flags. She's so busy. She probably going to be so busy pointing out the red flags on Shaq, who I like. She going to think we're not going to see her red flags. But we're going to see them. You know this YouTube world, Instagram world, whatever. We're going to see them red flags. She gonna be more than a pretty smile and a big booty. Okay, I'm telling you, it's gonna be more than a pretty smile and a big booty. She ain't gonna fool us. She is not gonna be able to fool us out here. So we also found out a little bit more about Shaq. And I don't know if you guys watched the after party. I watched it as well. I'm gonna do a video on that. But on the after party, they switched it up a little bit this year. It was an hour long. Last year was only half an hour. And this time what they did was they did 3 females in the beginning. So it was Kirsten, it was Nicole, and it was Jasmin in the first half of the after party. And then the second half of the after party was 3 men. It was Shaq, Airris, and Matt. And so Kirsten was on the first half of the after party, and Shaq was on the second half. And we learned a little bit more about Shaq. First of all, we learned about Shaq. He kind of explained how he got that scar on his head. Everybody's been talking about the scar on his head. He talked about how he was in a really, really, really bad car accident. He was young. His whole family, a bad car accident. And that's what happened. And I believe that's how he got the scar on his head, because it was a really, really, I don't think anyone passed away or died in the car accident, but it was really a horrific accident. He also talked about how he became such an academic, got into academia and became such an academic. And I really could relate to his story, because what he talked about was because he wasn't able to be in sports and things like that, he tended to focus more on academics, because that's where he spent a lot of his time. It reminded me of like my childhood. I was an asthmatic child when I was young. So I couldn't do a lot of sports. I was that kid that couldn't do a lot of PE, couldn't do a lot of sports because I had too much wheezing and bronchitis and everything else. I was that kid sitting on the bench when everybody else was running around the track field. But I understood it, because that is exactly what happens. Once you don't have that sort of physical play, I came to love to be a spectator of sports. So that's why I love football. I love sports. Take me to any type of sporting event. I love it because I got used to that as a child, being a spectator, not necessarily participating. And I used a lot of my free time for studying. So I really could relate to Shaq in that way. And I could see how that could have developed a lot of his personality. And let me tell you, I really have grown to like Shaq on this show. He is definitely showing a sensitive side to himself. He also told a heartwarming story about how in this episode you see how he was crying with his grandmother. Well, guess what? That ended up being the last time that he saw his grandmother. His grandmother made it to that wedding on her last leg. She was already suffering from a kidney disease. And he had told her, he didn't tell her anything about the wedding and how he was going to be getting married at first sight. He didn't want to alarm her or worry her since she was already ill. So the way she came to the wedding was she was thinking he was getting an award, and that's how he found out that she found out he was going to get married. It was such a heartwarming story. I was crying over that story, but it ended up being the last time that he saw her. So one of the reasons why he was crying so much when he saw his grandmother was because he was really close to his grandmother, and I think it was just such a heartwarming to see her there supporting him. So sometimes y'all don't know the backstories here, but I have really, really grown to really like Shaq. And let me tell you, he really wants this wedding. Shaq is really starting to remind me a little bit of Miles. I don't know if you guys remember Miles from Karen and Miles, but I think he really, really, really wants a wife. And he uses a lot of language like, I don't know what I'm going to do if this doesn't work out. And remember, Shaq mentioned that he had gone to therapy. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some history of maybe a little bit of depression in Shaq's life, because I can also see a little bit of sadness in him. And he talks about it over and over again of how lonely he is, how lonely he is, how lonely he is. And at first I was like, I love to see a person admit that they need a person in their life. Some people walk around with so much bravado. I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody. I want somebody, but I don't need no one. I really love when a person says, no, it's more than I want someone. I need someone in my life because I'm lonely and I want a partner. So I was really happy to see him say that. And there's another person saying the same thing, which is Airris, which I'm going to get to that too. But I really like the idea that he honed in on what his real need was in his heart. And he said, I need a woman. And I'm just really afraid that if this doesn't work out, I hope he doesn't go into any sort of type of depression, because I think that he is a deep feeler. I think that he's a deep thinker. And I think he's going to give his absolute all to this wedding. And then you come along and you pair him with this superficial Kirsten who doesn't care anything else about looks and baking cookies. And did y'all hear that part on the episode when she was complaining about the girl at the strip club, talking about you don't need to be going to no strip club. You need to be at home, rubbing your man's feet, cooking dinner, rubbing your man's feet. First of all, now that I know about Kirsten, who really believes that Kirsten is going to be rubbing some man's feet? I don't believe it. Picky Kirsten, I mean, he would have to be a foot model. His feet would have to be a perfectly everything. Perfect. No calluses, no corns, no rough edges, none of them toenails. You know, women, them toenails will men be scratching in the bed. Couldn't be none of that, because she's not going to be rubbing on no less than perfect feet. That's what I mean about Kirsten. She says a lot of stuff to make you think, but she ain't that girl. Kirsten is not that girl. And let me tell you, the other thing I saw about Kirsten, what's going on with her family? What is going on with her family? Now, when Kirsten was getting married for this wedding, they made this big deal that her mother couldn't be found. First of all, I was like, why? Where is this mother? It's her daughter's big day. Where is the mama? And if you noticed, when Kirsten was calling her mother, the phone would go to like the phone was disconnected. It wasn't like the phone went to voicemail. It was like the phone went to it's disconnected, or her mama blocked her. Because we all know, don't no phones do that no more. If the person don't answer the phone, it just goes to voicemail. But then I thought, you know what? I think that was some editing, y'all. I think that little sound of, sorry, the person you're trying to call can't be reached at this time, I think that was editing. I think that really when Kirsten was calling her mama, it really was going to voicemail. And what they did is they put a voice over that. That's what I think. Otherwise, I was saying, is this mama's phone disconnected? This is what I was thinking. I was like, is this mama flaky? Is her phone disconnected? What, she didn't pay her bill? Did she block her daughter? My mind was really racing, y'all. But now that I think back, I don't know. What do y'all think? I think that they put a voice over on that phone, and that really what was going on was that phone went to voicemail. But nonetheless, the mama wasn't answering. And the mama did eventually show up to the wedding late, which I just thought, I don't know, a mama late to her daughter's wedding. Some of this makes me start to think that is Kirsten really as close to her family as she tries to say that she is? This is what's starting to come up because I'm not the actions aren't meeting what she's telling me. Because my mama would be a front and center at my wedding, first to arrive. Second of all, that daddy. Kirsten keeps telling us she's a daddy's girl. I'm a daddy's girl. I'm really close to my daddy. Your daddy didn't even show up to your wedding. What father or daughter who's a daddy's girl's daddy would show up to a wedding? And let me tell you, it's not because he's out of town or out of state and didn't have no money for no plane ticket or he couldn't get there. No, he lives in Nashville, she said. And the reason he didn't come to the wedding was because he didn't want to take a COVID test. Okay, now I know there's a lot of COVID deniers out here. People don't want to take the vaccine. We ain't talking about the vaccine. We're talking about that he didn't want to take the COVID test. That's why he didn't show up for his daughter. I'm going to tell you this. This is what my gut says. This is what my gut says. Kirsten likes to paint a picture that ain't the picture. Now, for whatever reason, that father didn't show up to her wedding. That's his reasoning. That's their family's reasoning, whatever. But I'm going to tell you this. She ain't a daddy's girl. Because when you're a daddy's girl, because I'm a daddy's girl, there is no way. All you men that are your girls or your pride and joy, I don't care if I was marrying a Labradoodle, my daddy would show up and he would be there on time. He may not have liked who I married, but there is no way, as much as my father's passed me, see that as much as my father loved and cared for me and I was daddy girl, no way he wouldn't show up for my wedding. That's how I know she ain't telling the truth. And let me tell you, on the after party, I'm about to call her Rudy, but Keisha Knight Pulliam kind of called her out on it a little bit because Kirsten also told the story about when she was finally about to tell everybody she was getting married on Married at First Sight. Kirsten said, well, how did your daddy think about it? And she said, well, I called my father. And Keisha Knight Pulliam said, what you mean you called your father? She goes, yeah, I called him to tell him I was getting married on Married at First Sight. She goes, what do you mean? Your daddy's out of town? He goes, no, he's in Nashville. So even Keisha Knight Pulliam said, wait a minute, you're a daddy's girl. Your daddy lives in Nashville, right with you. And when you were about to get married, you called him instead of going to his house? Nope, don't make no sense. Not believing it. I'm going to tell you right now, this is all a facade with Kirsten. We're going to find out a lot. I bet you there's going to be a lot of her pointing fingers about what's not so great about Shaq. She's already told us, I think on the after party, how she wanted a man with muscles. Okay, so we're starting to hear this now too. She wanted a man with muscles. She didn't want no bald man. She wanted a man with a nice low cut hair. She's very, very particular. And I don't even know why particular people come on Married at First Sight. Why do they come on this show? It is irritating. I really hope she don't irritate me this season, but I'm starting to see. And let me tell you something else about Kirsten. I'm wondering, I said, she really is a pretty girl. And although we know that we can see some of the things where there will be some men who wouldn't want to be with Kirsten because one is she's too particular and she's superficial. And I'm thinking that this is even more than what's kept men away from her. She's talking about she pushed the men away. Men don't want to be with Kirsten. Nobody wants to be with a person, whether a woman wants to be with a man or a man with a woman, where nothing you do is good enough. Call Stasha from last year. Nobody wants to be with a person where nothing you do is good enough or anything you do is always going to be labeled as a mediocre. No one wants to be married to that. Not at all. And to be honest with you, Kirsten's over here talking about she wants a man with muscles and this man with this tight body. Now, I think she's very attractive, but something else tells me that Kirsten, does it look like she might have been a really big girl maybe a year ago? Does it look like she slimmed down? Does it look like to you that maybe before she was a lot bigger? Because this is another thing I'm thinking about. I don't know how Kirsten has gotten to the point where she nitpicks over everybody, because most people realize, hey, I've got flaws, I've got things. So the last thing I want to do is start nitpicking on you, because guess what? I really don't want you nitpicking on me. I believe that Kirsten has had some insecurities in her life growing up. I'm telling you, it's probably around that daddy, not good enough for that daddy. And it might be some issues over maybe Maybe there was some body non-positivity when she was younger, and now she's in a different place, and now she decides she's the whole package, so she wants everything because she got a master's and a bachelor's. I don't know, y'all. I got a lot of speculation going on. I know. But I'm going to tell you, I'm just sharing with you where my mind is going right now. But we got 20 episodes, and I'm going to figure it out. But let me tell you, the red flags and the alarms with this woman is going off. Now, Shaq, I'm going to tell this about Shaq, that suit he picked for the wedding. It was too small. I don't know why he picked that. I mean, I know you want a fitted suit, but he really could have let that suit out just a little bit. It was really a little bit too tight for me. I felt like in the front, it should have came a little bit closer to closing. I don't know. He got a different style than I do. He reminds me of some of these basketball players who, in the NBA, they like to have these sort of more flamboyant styles, and, as he calls it, a dapper Dylan. Okay, his bow tie had the little feathers on it and stuff. I know people out here trying to say that he bats for the other team. I don't believe that. I believe that he's just a guy. He's just a metrosexual guy, which there are a lot of guys like that. I don't get any other type of vibes that he somehow wants a beard or he wants to be with a man. I'm not picking up on none of that. And I really, I've seen different types of men. There are a lot of men who are into fashion and dressing, just like people said about Nate last year and different things. It doesn't mean that. And I really wish a lot of women wouldn't classify men like that just because they're not showing all this ruggedness and toughness and thugness. It really is hurting women out here, because when men hear that, especially younger men, then what they do is they say, well, I got to be the bad boy so a girl knows for sure that I'm not some type of, guy hitting for the other team. You're really shaping it when young men hear that type of stuff, where you're called those terms just because you like to dress nice, or you like to do certain things, or you have an accent, a southern accent. I don't know. I'm really not into that. And here's the other thing. I was wrong about the fact that none of these people are from Tennessee, because Kirsten is from Tennessee, and we find out a lot of the other girls are actually from Tennessee. They're from Memphis and other areas. Maybe not from Nashville, but they're from other areas. Now, we know Memphis and Nashville are two different cities, because I've been to Memphis, and let me tell you, I haven't been to Nashville, but I think I know it's two different completely cities. Same state, but different cities. So some of these people might be from Memphis. They bring in that Memphis personality, not that Nashville personality. But we're going to see. We will see. But we're going to see. We're going to see what's going on. But I'm telling you right now, my red flags about Kirsten are all over the place. Because even though that daddy didn't show up, she also didn't have anyone to walk her down the aisle, not one man. And let me tell you something. Kirsten claims she's so traditional, the church. But then next thing you know, she's talking about 6-7 inches, what she wants. She's up in the, the bachelorette party, which was the bachelorette party going wild. The man is flipping up in the sky. She almost broke that damn man's back. He was picking her up like, oh, this is a much heavier load than I thought. But let me tell you, she walked down that aisle by herself. And this is another thing I said. You don't have any male figure in your whole family that you enjoy, you trust, you love, that could have walked you down the aisle. Now, I know there's a lot of women who want to walk down the aisle by themselves, like Morgan last year, when she wanted to prove she's independent. But that's not what Kirsten is billing herself as. Kirsten is billing herself as this traditional woman, baking cookies, rubbing a man's feet, cooking, and going to be catering to a man and all these other kind of things. And she's so traditional because she wants him to be the provider and all this. And then she's going to do a non-traditional thing, like not walk her own self down the aisle. Don't believe it. And you don't have any other male figure in your life, no men around you in your whole life that will walk you down the aisle. I'm telling you, the story Kirsten is telling is not the real story. And then when they were telling that story, and when they were sitting around talking about when's the last time you had sex, I guess they asked this of everybody, revealing their personal information like that. But Kirsten admitted the last time she had sex was just like a month ago? It was just a month ago before she got married. So all these people, I know they're going to be on Airris, because Airris said he had sex the night before. But listen, this picking process for this Married at First Sight, for what I've been told, goes on for a long time. People are talking about you're in this process sometimes for 3 or 4 months. So a lot of these people have had sex after they apply to Married at First Sight. So here's Kirsten, the church girl, the one that's going to cater to her man, the one that's going to be rubbing feet, the one that wants the male as the provider, all these different types of things. And here's the girl getting flipped up in the club with her of a JJ on the man's face. She too was out here still having unmarried premarital sex, right? Nothing wrong with it. Listen, I'm just telling you that the stories don't add up. Who is the real Kirsten? I'm gonna tell you, she's gonna be doing a lot of finger pointing about what she doesn't like about Shaq. And in the end, I think there's gonna be a lot more revealed about her. Hope not, because I sure like to be for the ladies, but I'm starting to figure that this might not be an area. And let me tell you something. I am gonna move. This is where I'm changing my mind on them. I said that I had a thumbs up on them, and I had to see, and I had to wait until I see if she was gonna like him. And unfortunately, y'all, I'm gonna have to move them from the thumbs up to the thumbs down, because I don't think that Kirsten is reformed. I don't think Kirsten came in here saying, before I used to be picky, and that has held me back in dating, and so now I want to be different, I want to be open. No, I see a girl that is doubling down on the same behavior of why she's single. She's doubling down on it even more. So she's not coming in here trying to be a different person. She's coming in here trying to be the same person, and she's praying to God, and she's praying to the Lord, and she's praying to these Married at First Sight producers that instead of me having to do all the change, I want you just to give me what I want. Horrible strategy. So they're moving from the thumbs up to the thumbs down category. Sorry, y'all. Now we moving on to the next couple, and we're going to move on to Jasmin and Airris. And guess what, y'all? I'm still a thumbs up, and I'm even stronger on a thumbs up on these two. I know there's going to be a lot of people that don't like Airris. They're not going to like Airris, but I'm going to tell you, I am in the boat with Airris because I know who Airris is. Let me tell you, there were two stories that told me who Airris was. I know everybody gonna concentrate on the fact that he had a sex the night before he was told he got chosen for a Married at First Sight. I ain't worried about that, because these people be in the Married at First Sight pool, they say, for like 3 or 4 months. And people ain't necessarily holding out for that. A lot of people out here are still doing what they doing. As you can see, the girls were still doing what they was doing. People were still doing what they were doing. And at the time it happened, so what? Plus, what I liked about Airris said about that incident is that he didn't just tell the girl over the phone, because he said he had been kind of hanging out with the girl for about a month. Nothing was serious. So basically they was just friends with benefits, and he knew there was nothing serious with her. And he said he had the decency that when he did have to tell the girl that he was going to go on Married at First Sight, that he told her in person. He didn't send her no text. He didn't call her. He did it in person. And let me tell you, if he was a real down low, a dirty dog, he would have sent her a text, or he might have even ghosted her. Be honest with you. He might have ghosted her, sent her a text, told her over the phone, or something like that. So the fact that he met with her in person and told me that he's not no low down dirty dog. I see a lot more to Airris than probably what people are seeing. I think I see more to him than even his cousin does. Because let me tell you the other story that I was good with Airris. When Airris told this story, I don't know if he told it here on the show or if he told it on the after party, because I watched both, so sometimes I get the stories mixed up. So you'll have to watch my after party video too. But he told the story that he's been in long-term relationships. His last relationship, I think he said he was in for like a couple of years, 3 or 4 years, but it was long distance. He also told the story of back when he was 28 years old. He was in love, and he got his heart broken by this girl. And this girl, for whatever reason, he feels, she left him, she dumped him. I think he even said she ghosted him. And after that, he never recovered. He said for 10 years, he feels as he's been walking around with a wall up for 10 years, probably shielding himself from the hurt he experienced when he was 28. And let me tell you, as an older woman out here, this is a story you hear from a lot of men. When you start meeting some of these men who are in their 40s and they've never been married or they are whatever, this is a very common story you hear with men, that it wasn't as if they didn't have the capacity to love, that early on in their life, in their 20s, that's typically when it happens, they did fall in love with a woman and their heart was broken. And it's taken them a long time to recover. So after their heart was broken, they never want to feel that heartbreak again. So they became hoes out here in the street. And it became the way in which they didn't attach to a woman. If you remember Elijah One last year, it's kind of the same story. Airris doesn't seem to have some of the other things that Elijah One has. But this story of falling in love early, getting your heart broken, and then becoming a hoe in these streets because you don't want to attach to a woman is the same story. Elijah One had the story. And you know who else had the story? I know people are going to be mad because they love Woody. It's also Woody's story. And here's the thing. Women think that these men can't get married. They can get married. They can get married. But it has to be the woman in which they trust and they're willing to come back out and trust those women again. And it also takes for that man to become lonely. Because after a while, a man like Airris, Elijah One, and Woody, their real heart really was always to be with one woman. They really are a committed type of person. But they was forced out in these streets by a woman that did them wrong. But really who they are on the inside, they really are warm and caring men. And let me tell you, that's what I get from Airris. So when I say I disagree with the cousin, I disagree with the cousin because the cousin is talking about Airris from what she sees, his hoeing ways. You know, he's never lived with a woman, all these other kind of things and whatever else she feels. And so she feels he wasn't ready. I'm going to disagree with her because I've seen a lot of these men, especially in my older age, because we have friends, as a couple, we've had male friends, why you never been married? And let me tell you, in a lot of these men's history is a marriage or a woman they loved and their heart was broken and they never want to feel it again. So they became hoes out here in these streets. I'm telling you. But let me tell you, I like Airris. I like his story. I think he's ready. I think he's going to be committed to Jasmin. And so I'm still all the way 2 thumbs up. And let me tell you, Jasmin is not going to give Airris anything to worry about. There's not going to be no issue of jealousy. There's not going to be none of this stuff Domynique's going to do to her man where she going to twist his mind up for he going to always have to think, is she going to be faithful? No. If you looked at Jasmin at this bachelorette party, she, of all the girls, she wasn't the one doing all that nasty stuff, darn near kissing a strange man on the wedding night. I don't care if they was taking shots, sucking on a lemon, a lime, whatever else. My lips would not be that close to a sweaty stripper, especially not in COVID days. What they got, COVID days? Oh no, heck no. And of all the young ladies, it wasn't Kirsten who was the demure woman. It was Jasmin that she had fun. She knew how to be entertained and let loose with the girls, but she wasn't the one over there doing all that wild stuff. And that's what Airris needs, because I think Airris has been hurt before, and he's gonna need a woman that he can fully trust, and that woman is gonna be Jasmin. I am really liking this pairing up. And the fact that they both have strong families, Jasmin has a very strong family. I think that's going to be nice for Airris, for him to get this nice big family. And the other thing about Airris, when he told this story too, he told the story of that he's really only been back in Nashville for a little bit. That's why he didn't have nothing in that closet, y'all. I don't know. Airris must have got off a plane and went right into Married at First Sight interviews, because he told the story. He's been living in LA for the last 10, 13 years. He said he hasn't even been back in Nashville. Let me tell you what I think about Airris, because I'm from LA, y'all. And this is what you find a lot in LA. You find a lot of people who move out to LA. Oh, it's the big life, the big glam. They're gonna make it. And a lot of these people come from these cities, Nashville, down south. And we're going to get to Mac, because he's another one of them. Come out to LA and they're going to make it big. This is the big city. And they get eaten alive by the city. The city eats them alive, and so do the women out here, because women in LA have seen it all. They've seen all the scams. You think you a playboy in the South, you ain't nothing when you come out here to LA. LA women have seen it all. And I think what happened was Airris came out here to these LA streets and he ran these streets up. Probably why we got all these potholes out here in LA, because Airris probably ran him up out here in LA. But you know what he did? He got worn out. Just like a lot of people get worn out in LA. That's why you find a lot of people in LA on the street and homeless, because the city will wear you out. It'll wear down women and it'll wear down men. And I think what happened to Airris was he was out here in these LA streets chasing a bunch of women, sleeping with a bunch of women, being wild, doing what people do out here in LA a lot of times. And he said, you know what? I am not going to find me no wife in LA. I'm going to have to go back home to the South or to some other place where I want to find a wife that has more of the values that I want. And I think that's what made Airris pack up his bags, leave LA, go back to his hometown and say, I want to find a wife here, and signed up for Married at First Sight. That's what I believe. Who knows? Airris might have even been watching Married at First Sight and saw that there was casting for Married at First Sight in Nashville and said, you know what? I want to be on the show. I want to try out, and I'm going to move back to Nashville to be on the show. I wouldn't put it past him, because Airris wants a wife. He wants a wife. He wants a family, and he wants some babies. He wants it all. So I believe he's going to be a good match for Jasmin. I think he is right. When he was waving goodbye to the streets, I think it was a real goodbye. And I think that these two are going to make it. I think they're going to be a strong match, y'all. I think they're going to be a really strong match. Airris said it came out of his mouth. He said, no, it's not that I didn't like dating. He said he did like dating, but he said it didn't bring him fulfillment and joy. And that's a lot of men out here sleeping with a lot of women. This is why these women don't become wise, because really all these men are using these women for are fulfillment and joy, because they're not really looking to marry these women. Women out here, if you're single, stop being the woman that sleeps with the Airrises and then ones that sleep with the Olajuwons, because these men are looking for something particular, and although they're sleeping with you and having a good time with you, you're not gonna be their wife. So if you want to be a wife, you need to stop sleeping with these guys, because they are looking for something particular. They're not necessarily all dogs. They really do want something, but they just haven't found it. And I believe that Airris moving from LA back to Nashville was a big step. That in itself was a commitment. He gonna commit to Jasmin. I'm 100% sure of it. I am sure of it. And we're finding out a little bit about Jasmin too. One of the things that they revealed about Jasmin, because I was wondering what happened. She's in these long-term relationships, so we know she's committed, but she revealed some of the things going wrong. She said one of the things was she didn't save time for her relationship, and she was always gone, and she was also always busy. There it is. I'm telling you, there are things when people say, oh, it's just the men. No, it's not. There's some things that the women are doing. And I'm glad to see that Jasmin is admitting that what she did wrong was she was in long distance relationships and she wasn't around much necessarily. So maybe they were living together, but what she was saying was she didn't make time for her man. I hope she's ready to change that, because that's what she says was one of the problems. She didn't make time for him. She was always busy, and that's what the men complained about with her. So I'm hoping that now she's ready to change that part, so that part doesn't become a problem with Airris. But I also don't think that Airris needs a clingy woman. I don't think that. So I think the fact that she's busy, keeps herself busy, has hobbies, has passions, I think that's going to bode well for her. I know she said she got these 4 dogs. And I remember when I was watching that Max Mason special and she went and sat on that little nasty ass couch. I was like, oh, that couch sure is nasty. Now I know why it was nasty, because this girl got 4 dogs. She might need to pare that down, Jasmin, because you're going to need to keep a better house than that. That couch was nasty. That was just what I saw. But now that I know it was over these 4 dogs she says she has. She says every time she breaks up or she gets lonely, she gets a new dog. So I see 2 people coming together that really want someone new in their life, and I think they're going to work. These 2 are going to work hard for this marriage, and I'm here for it. And another thing, Jasmin said that she is shy in the bedroom. She might need to turn it up a notch, because Airris, I think, going to want to turn it up a little bit, but he's had a lot. He's had a lot of women. He's had a lot of vaginas, so I'm quite sure he can teach her a few things, which is good. At least he's going to know she ain't been out here in these streets too much. Or where she's gonna be teaching him. But she says she's shy in the bedroom, so she might need to let loose a little bit, do some of them cheerleading flips. Jasmin, you might need to do a couple of them somersaults in the bedroom. That'll get his attention. That will get his attention. And let me tell you, when they was asking, are you ready for just one vagina? And you know what? I liked Airris' and Airris says, yes. He said, I would love to have to master a vagina. He says, and get it right. Do you like it to the left, to the right, to the middle, to the up, to the down? I love that answer because that is one of the benefits. Because now I don't have to figure out, he's figuring, I don't have to learn how to please all these different types of women. Because different women like different things. He says, I can concentrate on one woman's vagina, one woman, and hit it out the ballpark every single time. Exactly. I'm telling you, Airris is ready, y'all. Y'all think he ain't ready? This cousin think he don't ready? I really do believe he's ready. Is there gonna be some things he needs to learn? Absolutely. Is he gonna make some mistakes? He's absolutely gonna make some mistakes. But I think that Jasmin is gonna be patient with his mistakes, give him the time to learn. And I'm telling you, I believe that Jasmin and Airris are going to be a very, very, very good couple. So I was bashing these experts on all these other couples, but let me tell you, I am with them on this match here. I think it was a good match. I think it was a very, very good match. So you're right, Airris. Say goodbye to them streets. When he was waving out the window, bye streets, bye streets. It is a goodbye to the streets because Airris, he a married man now. He is a married man. Now on to Nicole and Chris. Now last week I was a thumbs down on Nicole and Chris, but I'm switching my vote, y'all. I'm thumbs up, and I'm an enthusiastic thumbs up on them. I really believe Nicole and Chris are actually a very good match now. I've had a lot more information on them. I'm liking what I see. A lot of the fear I had with Nicole was if she was too much out the box, too overwhelming, too this. And I thought, oh, Chris is not going to be able to handle it. Nope, don't think that at all. Because let me tell you, self-awareness is the key. One of the things I liked about Nicole was she readily admits that she can be a lot. But she also tells people, listen, if I'm a lot, then just give me a safe word. I could tone it down. I could do this. That's completely different from a person who says, I know I'm a lot, but you just need to learn how to take it. You need to learn how to deal with it. That's what we got in past seasons with people. People who don't want to change what they are or don't want to give any credence to the fact that some parts of your personality might be too much for people. What I liked about Nicole was that she knew who she was. She knows some of the things that maybe don't always gel with people, which means she'll be open that if someone says, hey, can you tone it down a little bit? She'd be willing to do it. But she's sweet. She has a personality. She's dedicated. I love all of this. And that's what makes me think these two are going to make it. These two basically already love each other already, and they even made each other. They are already committed to this marriage. They're not talking about superficial things. They're talking about things that are going to make a marriage last. I really, really like these two together, and I think they're going to make it. I didn't know, last week I think I said I didn't know if Chris would be attracted to Nicole. I think he will. I think he will be attracted to Nicole. I was wrong. I was thinking that he was going to be a little bit more, I don't know. I didn't know if he's going to be a little bit superficial or certain things, but I'm finding out that he is a person that he's not going to look at the outside. He's just not going to look at superficial things. He's going to go deep on the person and like what's on the inside. And I think with Nicole, that when you peel back what's on the inside of Nicole, it's very, very beautiful and it's very, very charming. And I think he's going to like it. And I think that's what she's going to find out about him too. These two people actually remind me of what they were trying to do with Mark the Shark and Lindsay. Two fun-loving people who could have fun together and be goofy together. The problem with Lindsay was she was mean-spirited. Nicole is not mean-spirited. So I believe these two are going to have a lot of fun together. I think they're going to make each other laugh. I think they're going to keep their marriage lighthearted. I think they're going to enjoy each other. And I think they're going to be grateful for this opportunity because they both have had a really, really hard time out here in the dating. And this has been handed to them on the platter. I think they're going to look at it like they won the lottery, y'all. I think they're going to feel like we won the lottery in meeting each other. This is what I believe. And she's from New York. He's from Chicago, and they're meeting in Nashville. So they're both not too Southerners. She's from New York, a big city. He's from Chicago, a big city. So those two people can probably have some similarities being from a big city in this new Nashville town. And that might help them because they both come from big cities. So I am really liking this couple. You know what else I liked about Nicole? She can keep a secret. Ooh, she could keep a secret. She didn't tell no one, not one person, that she was even in the process of getting married at first sight. So when she dropped the bomb on them that, hey, they found me a match, her friends were truly shocked. Everybody else, you could tell they already knew. Like, you could tell they already knew, and then they fake it for like, oh, congratulations. And so it was all fake. We already knew they knew. But you could tell that her friends absolutely did not know. And she was on the after party too. And even Keisha and I pulled him and said, your friends was really shocked. And she goes, yes, they didn't even know I was in the process. because what she was saying was she didn't want anyone to know if it fell apart. She didn't get picked. She didn't want to do anything. So they were truly, truly shocked. And I love to see the real raw emotions when her friends are really found out. I love that. But she could keep a secret. She could be a best friend. She could be my best friend because she knows, she's evolved. She knows how to keep a secret. And let me tell you, I really like Nicole because she says she's full-blooded Italian. She says, don't let me go FBI on you. I guess that's when her little wild side comes out, or she can really get at you. But she was like, I'm from Queens, New York. I'm full-blooded Italian. So let me tell you, I can get in it if I need to get in it. But I think she's a really warm, a kind, and caring person. And I think that's going to go well with this guy who, this Chris fella, who is a nice person. And his friends describe him as being one of the nicest people that they even know. So, I mean, don't we always want two nice people to get together as opposed to a nice person get with a mean person? And we actually have two nice people that have been paired up together. So you mean to tell me we're going to get to watch all a season long of two nice people being nice to each other? Oh, this is going to be a joy. I actually am getting excited about being able to watch Nicole and Chris together, because I'm hoping that they won't be the one couple that will have any type of meanness thing going on whatsoever. I'm hoping we're gonna watch two people just loving on each other, being a joy to each other's life, and being happy and thankful for this opportunity and not nitpicking on stuff. That's what I'm hoping about. I'm hoping that this is going to be a real love story, y'all. Chris's goofiness and weirdness and all that other kind of stuff, I think Nicole is going to love that about him. I think they're going to really play off each other's, like I said, goofiness and weirdness. I don't think it's going to bother either one of them. I think it's going to actually relax them and make them feel more accepted, because then they're not the only one in the relationship that's like that. They're both are like that. And I think it's going to be a compliment to each other. Nicole was getting into it with them strippers at that bachelorette party. She was wild too, but I think she's going to bring the fun. She is going to bring the fun to this relationship. She's going to be the spark, the person that makes the relationship fun. And then I think Chris is going to balance it out with a little bit more stability and calmness. But I'm really liking this. I was going hard on the experts, but you know what, y'all? I'm going to have to give them a kudos on this matchup right here, because I think it's a good one. I think that it's a good one. Sorry, Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper, you did good on this one. I was wrong. And now we're going to move on to Domynique and Mackinley. And they're calling Mackinley Mac, and they're calling Domynique Dom. And let me tell you, I'm changing my mind on this one too. I'm not changing my mind in terms of do I think these two will make it, because I absolutely know they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it one bit. But I'm changing my mind on a couple of things. The one who's going to get got. I'm now predicting that the one who's going to really get got in this relationship is Domynique. See, last episode, I was thinking she's immature. She's not ready for marriage. That's what I was thinking. And it was proven in this episode she's not ready for marriage. I don't even know why Domynique is calling herself an old soul. There is nothing old soul about Domynique. She's current and new. She's a 2023. She ain't no old model, because all the stuff she's doing, no old school, old soul person does. I guess because she thinks she calls this her pocketbook. She's old soul. No. Let me tell you something. Domynique is out here, doesn't know who she is, and describing a person she isn't. First of all, we know from last week that her mama signed her up for this show. And her mama signed her up for this show because she feels like Domynique has been picking the wrong guys, and she's not picking the right guys. Well, Dominique's been lying to her mama. Every time something happens in the relationship with Domynique, she comes home and she probably tells her mama, but she's telling the wrong story. She's not telling her part in it. Because Domynique is hell on wheels. I could tell that already. I could tell that. Out in these Nashville streets, that's what I could tell about Domynique. And Dominique's mother thinks it's the men that have been the problem. But I'm going to tell you, it's not the men, it's Domynique. Because that little thing that she did at the stripper party before she was married tells me more of who she is. She pushes the envelope. She does things. And when she started talking about this, I can get down with a G&O. First of all, I was like, G&O, you definitely ain't old school, because I had no idea what G&O was till she finally said a girl's night out. And I was like, girl, what kind of old soul is walking around talking about G&O? No old soul is talking about G&O. You are new and current, the newest edition of 2023, a model. She don't even know who she is, y'all. And let me tell you, she thinks she's Hell on Wheels coming out in Nashville. She's out here probably giving men a run for their money, keeping them on their toes. They probably don't trust her, so they probably are cheating on her before she can cheat on them. That's probably what's going on. The men already know she's hot out here in these streets, and so why should I be faithful to her? Because I don't think she's faithful to me. Because she wasn't showing any faithfulness to her husband at that bachelorette party at all. And any man dating a woman like that says, why do I need to be faithful to her, dating her, when I can already tell she's not going to be faithful to me? And then she goes back and she tells that mama that sob story of how he cheated on me. And guess what? She involved. She's a culprit too. But let me tell you why I'm changing my story on these two. She's about to get got by Mackinley. Mac. He gonna be a Mac truck. Let me tell you, y'all. He's another person who has described himself wrong. He's shy and he's introverted. I told y'all last week when I saw him cleaning that Corvette, I said, shy and introverted with a Corvette. Not quite sure. Because I'm a car guy. I'm sorry. Because I'm a car girl. And let me tell you, the picture wasn't adding up. Now we find out, which I thought I'd heard last week, that Mackinley was an entrepreneur in the weed business. Cannabis, weed, whatever. I said, this is interesting. Shy, introverted, Corvette in the cannabis and weed industry. Okay, could be, but it ain't adding up. Now we find out he's from Flint, Michigan. Ain't Flint, Michigan the hood, y'all? I mean, I've been to Michigan before, Detroit. Ain't Flint, Michigan the hood? Okay. Now we find out he's from Flint, Michigan. Add this up, y'all. Do the math. Flint, Michigan, drives a Corvette in the cannabis industry, entrepreneur. He says his brothers all went to college, followed the traditional route. Mackinley said, no, I'm dropping out of college, be an entrepreneur, gonna do my own thing. Okay, y'all. He wants us to think he's this clean-cut person with this nice little clean-cut haircut like he just got out the army. Not believing it. Adding it up, y'all. A Corvette, okay, didn't follow the traditional route. The rebel in the family, dropped out of college, selling weed, a cannabis industry entrepreneur from Flint, Michigan. Then decides he's going to move to California, LA. Another person who moved to LA. Okay, you coming out to LA for the big city, the big lights. You shy and introverted, Corvette, cannabis, Flint, Michigan, coming to LA. Not believing it, not adding up. Another person came out to California probably because of the cannabis industry, because it was legalized out here. Who knows? Maybe thought he was going to make a bunch of money out here in the weed industry. He figured out these taxes is really high. These weed stores is struggling because he still got the black market and the regular market. Hey, I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, came out here to these LA streets, and the LA streets ate him up. Like I tell you, LA streets, like I told you with Airris, LA streets will eat you up. Came out to LA, cost of living was too high, probably couldn't make it financially, too much. So what did he do? He picked up his bags and went back to Nashville, and now he's living with a family friend. Don't even have his own place. Mackinley is from the streets, and Domynique thinks that she's going to be the one running over Mackinley, because that's what she's used to doing with her personality. You can tell that she gives men a run for their money in Nashville. I'm telling you, in Nashville. But Mackinley is from Flint, Michigan, also spent years in LA, and he's going to have seen it all himself. And this little game that Domynique likes to play with men, she's not going to be able to play it on Mackinley. And she's going to get got. You heard that bad English? She's going to get got. That's Ebonics for you. She's coming in here thinking she's going to get the better of him. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to teach her a lesson. And he was on the after party. And he was on there with this flamboyant black jacket. I don't know what it was made of. Girl, it was shiny. He looked like he was at Vegas, about to do a show in Vegas. And I said, this is a shy, introverted guy with a Corvette from Flint, Michigan, in the cannabis industry, dropped out of college, the rebel in his family, moved to LA, and that's what you want me to believe about him, that he's shy and introverted? Not at all. This is a thumbs down, but let me tell you, this is going to be really interesting. A really interesting to see how these two play out. But what I believe is that they both gonna give each other a run for their money, because you know what, Domynique is used to doing it to men, and he is not gonna be a pushover like people are trying to say. He also told this other story, which I don't believe. Crazy story of that. He got one of these Kristen stories from last year. So he tells the story of how he was with a woman for 4 years. They were living together, and they were together, and then all of a sudden this woman calls up or sends him a text picture of a ring on her finger, and he says, oh, is this the ring you want for us to get engaged? Because supposedly they were on the marriage track. And she says, oh no, I just want to let you know I got engaged yesterday to another person. I said, what? Okay, come on, Matt. Domynique must think she's an old soul just because she talks to her mama 2 and 3 times a day. That don't make you no old soul just because you talk to an old person. Just because she talks to her mother and her mother's older, she's got an old soul. I don't know. Is it just me? What about Domynique even makes it look like she got an old soul? Nothing about her made it look like she got an old soul. Why? Because she listens to what? Some music from the 80s? I don't know. Not buying it. So the narrative and the description that they've given her is not who she is, and not at all. Because all that flirting that Domynique was doing at that bachelor party, putting the drink down her so-called pocketbook, talking about her breast size, and she said she's tired of dating F boys. And let me tell you, all that she was doing, that looked like F girl behavior. If a guy is there or watching that, she talking about she's tired of dating F boys, that looked like F girl behavior. And any guy watching that would say, I would not want my wife doing that type of stuff at her bachelorette party. That was a little bit too much. She did a little bit too much. She was doing a lot of flirting, a lot of one-on-one talking with that stripper, a little bit too much. She is not ready for marriage, not one bit. But Mackinley, he's a sleeper, and he gonna give her a run for her money. He gonna teach her a few things. When we saw her, that little scene, we saw her crying and leaving an apartment. I believe it. I believe he gonna send her in some tears. He's gonna tell her a few things about herself, because she is unaware of who she is, and she out here telling her mama one story, but her mama gonna get to see who her daughter really is on this show. This is what I'm believing. She's just young. I'm not saying things wrong with her. She's a mean girl or anything, but she's young and she doesn't know who she is yet. And who she's describing is not who I'm seeing on the camera. Not at all. Now we're gonna move on to Clint and Gina. Why is Clint on here? He is the worst pick to be married. Once again, we get this over 40s man who is on Married at First Sight, still wants to do the same old things. Clint is not interested in being married. He's interested in having some woman sit next to him on a sailboat and sail around the world. This is all he's looking for. He's not looking to really partner with another woman. He's looking for a woman to be his co-companion, his co-sailor. I don't know, this man, nothing about his lifestyle says he's ready to settle down, have a family, do any of the things that people want to do in a marriage. He's talking about running around doing the regatta and sailing. Just like Airris said, he looked like he's woodsy outdoors and just came from the woods. He talking about they were talking about, hey, he just had sex too right before that he was told he was going to be married. Who did he have sex with? A Sasquatch in the woods? Who did he have sex with? I really don't like Clint. I really didn't want to spend this whole season not liking somebody, but I think he's going to be the person that I don't like all a season long. And Gina ain't going to have it. Gina is not going to have it one bitch. There was a bad match. I can't believe they even matched these two together. He's not fit for marriage. And when he was sitting around with all his friends looked like they just crawled up out of a trash can. I was like, no wonder he looks like this. Look at all his friends. Nobody looked like they had shaved for 2 years. Their clothes looked raggedy. Their hair was raggedy. I'm just like, oh my God, where have you guys been on a boat for the last 2 years? Horrible, 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 horrible. Then you have this perfectly coiffed Gina with, who's a stylist and a hair salon, makeup done, lip injections. And you're going to marry him with a man who's outdoor, who dates Sasquatch? Ugh. And then you're talking about, I'm just so frustrated over this match. But here's the ringer couple. I told you guys there was going to be a ringer couple that had no chance of making it, none whatsoever. And I truly believe that the ringer couple was Clint and Gina. Has to be. Because he's not ready for marriage with anyone. Unless this woman, a woman, is willing to do whatever Clint wants to do, be whatever Clint wants him to be, then there is no chance that he's going to be a good pairing with anyone. He even said it himself that his last relationship, the girl broke up with him because she said she was doing too many things to please him, to be who he wanted, and she wasn't being herself. Because that's what it takes to be with a Clint. You have to be exactly what he wants in order to be with him. And that girl said, I'm tired of trying to pretend I'm this woman that you want, and that's not who I am, because that's who he is. Same other person coming on the show, not coming on the show trying to be different, trying to come on the show looking for the same old thing, looking for a person to be exactly what they want, as opposed to changing their own behavior and their own expectations. Be honest with you, he and Chris Kirsten are starting to sound just alike. Different things they want, but this stuckness, stuck on this one brand of person, this one look of person, this one everything of person, they're really in the same boat. They really are in the same boat. No flexibility, no creativity, no thinking outside the box, no open-heartedness, no openness. This is what we want. This is what I'm looking for, and this is what I want. Ugh. Horrible, horrible, horrible. He even said himself, you can't cage a tiger. Well, then don't be on the show. If you don't want to be caged in a marriage, then guess what? Don't be on the show. You want to sail around the world? Go sail around the world. You want to be with different women? Go be. If all you want is some bikini model sitting next to you on a sailboat, whatever, so she looks good and watches you do what you want to do, and you do whatever you want, sail, fly airplanes, go do it. But that is not what is needed for a marriage and a husband in a marriage. Nothing wrong with it. Do it. But you don't need to be no father, no marriage, no one, when all you're worried about is yourself. Absolutely not. And this is another one. Did you hear that little line Pastor Cal said? The reason they paired them because they thought that Gina would be his energetic yes girl. So they already know that he needed a yes girl. Why in the heck would you think that Gina would be the yes girl, Pastor Cal? That doesn't make any sense. Gina is this spontaneous, a businesswoman. She has a strong head on her shoulder. You can tell. There is no way she's going to be his energetic yes girl. Gina, let me say something about Gina too. Gina says that a lot of men are intimidated by her, which I don't see why. I don't think people are intimidated just because you have a hair salon. Okay, people got lots of business. That's not what it makes men intimidated. So we're probably going to find out some more things about Gina, which we may not. Because here's what happens when you get a Gina and a Clint together. Just what happened last year with Kristen and Mitch. When one of the couples is so horrible, you tend to just focus on that in person, like we focused on Mitch the Itch. That's what's going to happen probably to Clint this year. We're going to focus on Clint because he's going to be so horrible that you're going to overlook some things with Gina. I'm going to tell you this already, what I see with Gina. This idea that people are intimidated by her. I can't stand when women say it. I tell people all the time, no one's intimidated by you. When you say intimidated, what you're doing is you're now relieving yourself of the obligation to figure out why people don't get along with you. And you're saying it's their problem. They're intimidated. They're intimidated by my money. They're intimidated by this. So you don't have to do anything different because, of course, you're not going to shut your business down. So you say, well, I can't shut my business down. I can't lose my intellect. So therefore, it's everyone else's fault because these men are intimidated by me. So now you ain't got to do nothing. You just going to keep looking for a man that's not intimidated by you. No. Something you need to change. And I'm going to tell you this, not only with Gina, but all these women running around here with these nose clips in. Okay. People with nose rings. Everybody doesn't look at those things the same way. Everybody doesn't like them. Lots of people make judgments on them. Maybe they shouldn't, but it's what it happens. Women with nose rings, and they didn't want around say men are intimidated by you because you're walking around with this nose clip in your ear. It may not be the wise thing to do when you're shopping or looking or wanting to meet a person because you turn a lot of people off with that nose ring. Now, I'm all about authenticity. Be yourself, okay? But I like to wear a hair bonnet, but I don't wear one to an interview, a job interview, okay? I know when to take it off in order to have the best possible outcomes to attract as many people as I want to. Gina, because this marriage ain't gonna last. take the nose ring out. When you meet a guy, you can ask him how he feels about nose rings, and it'll probably be okay to put it back in. Plus, he will already then know everything else about you, and he won't come to any conclusions because of the nose ring. The nose ring turns a lot of people off. Some men won't even approach a woman with a nose ring. Why are you blocking off so many things? Oh, well, I wouldn't want to be with a man if he's turned off by a nose ring. There you go, and there's the stubbornness. So that's when you start to have, oh, people are intimidated by me. They're not intimidated by your job. They might be intimidated by your personality or some of the stances you take. The refusal to maybe take the nose ring out, to make yourself appeal to a broader audience, and you decide, no, I'm not going to do it. Is the nose ring that much a part of your identity that you're not willing to take it out in order to make a connection with someone? Then as that person understands that, hey, you aren't this hard-nosed, a bull ring wearing, nose clip person, so now they're not going to prejudge you over it or have misconception about you, then they'll be okay with you putting it back in. But this part about people who do that, it does tell you something about them. And so when Gina walks around talking about men are intimidated by her, there's another part of that that's going on with her. I don't know what it is. Another part is they're not intimidated by her job. It's going to be something about her personality that also might rub them a little bit wrong. It's going to be, and that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry if I'm feeling like I'm stereotyping or I'm doing whatever prejudging. I don't know if this is what I do on my YouTube channel. I just go for my gut. I go for what I feel, and this is what I feel. And I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. Now, do I think that Gina really is that person? I don't know if she is. But I'm telling you, the message that she sends when you see her and when you meet her, that is what could come off. And as a result, she may not be getting certain men approaching her because of that. She needs to improve her dating options, because let me tell you, this marriage with Clint is not going to last. It's not going to last one bit, because she is not going to be no energetic yes girl from him, Pastor Cal. A bad match. Bad match, bad match. But Gina, of all the girls, she's the older one in the group, and she's also from Tennessee. I don't know if she's from Nashville or she's from Memphis too, but she's a Tennessee girl. And you know what? She was the one that purposely pointed out with Kirsten that Kirsten needs a man with a little bit of swag. She read that right. And she said he better have a lot of swag. But let me tell you, I like Gina personality-wise. I like how she's interacting with the young ladies, everything. But I'm already in the advice mode for Gina. Get rid of that nose ring when you go back out here to these single streets, because you're going to be out here. You're going to be back on the market, girl, in 8 weeks. You're going to be back on the market. Get rid of that nose ring and start projecting a different image so you can start attracting a different type of man. But these two, thumbs down, thumbs down. Thumbs down. But that's it, y'all. Be sure to watch all my other videos, the extended version or the shortened versions, whichever one. And also you'll see here at the end of the video, you can click above the link and you can click on the various videos. I'm going to do one on the after party. And if I'm inspired, I'll also do one of my parodies or satires. We'll see. But that's it, y'all. Talk to you later. Click on the other videos. Bye.